And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive Wednesday, January 28th. And we got a real one today. 9 games on the docket. We've got everything. Nothing's getting cut off. We're going from 7 o'clock all the way through the night. Plenty of late swap opportunities. Games locking every half hour down the stretch. This is what we've been waiting for. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter at Josh Engleman, at DK __ DFS. What's going on, man? We got a fun one today, sort of.
Yeah, doing pretty good. I like that we have an old school slate for sure. We will have some late swap opportunities. I was kind of messing with my build for single entry, and I was having a pretty tough time building, but I am glad that they didn't cut it off and make it like 2 different slates. So we'll see what happens with some of the late news. I do have some takes there. So yeah, excited to break it all down with you.
Yeah, lots to talk about, folks. We're going to break down each game one by one. Probably going to have to move a little fast. We don't typically have 9 games that we need to get through on the show. This is probably the most we've had that I can remember. So we will do that. But before we do it, if you're already here, I want to mention the promo code is PRO. 30% off any Stokastic package. Click the link in the description. That will make it easy. Whether you're looking for a week, a month, NBA, whether you're looking for MMA, whether you're looking for golf, baseball is coming up soon enough. You guys can get in and get everything that we're sharing on the screen. We'll show the data hub. We've got the Sims. It's all here for you guys. Promo code PRO, 30% off. NFL's ending, folks. We want you guys to stick around. We'll touch on this again later once we get more people in the door. But now we'll touch on the first game, the battle of LeBron James. The Los Angeles Lakers are 3.5-point underdogs in Cleveland today, taking on the Cavs. We are missing some bodies in Cleveland. Evan Mobley, calf strain, going to be out for a bit. DeAndre Hunter, though, probable. Sam Merrill, probable. Still don't have Darius Garland. All of the ownership in this game is coming in on the Cleveland side. 30% to Donovan Mitchell, 25% to Jared Allen, 20% to Dean Wade, 10 more for Jalen Tyson, Naquan Tomlin, and Sam Merrill. Your highest owned Laker at this moment, 6% to Jake LaRavia. None of this is surprising. You take Evan Mobley off, and that's going to change some things for Cleveland. What do you like?
Yeah, so starting on the Cleveland side, again, you take out Mobley, you take out Darius Garland. There's just a lot of usage and minutes to go around. So I guess I'll start with Jared Allen. 6,300 is a reasonable price point. We have seen his minutes tick up in competitive games. Allen, 33 minutes last game. The most recent competitive game before that, 34 minutes and 35. So I think you could definitely see around 35 minutes from Jared Allen. He produces at a much higher rate with Evan Mobley off the court. And so, at a reasonable price point here in the mid-range of 6,300, I think he stands out as one of the better center plays on the slate. And then, Donovan Mitchell, who has already seen that minutes uptick. He's pretty consistently playing 35-plus minutes in competitive games. And we just saw a huge game from him last game that was with Evan Mobley. Now you take Mobley off the court. It's a relatively small sample size with Garland and Mobley off the court, but Mitchell has a 41% usage rate, so not super surprising. I think the ceiling is pretty high here on Donovan Mitchell, and again, I think the minutes are going to be pretty secure as well. So totally understand why he's getting that 25% ownership. Looking at the rest of Cleveland, so I think the most likely starter here is going to be Sam Merrill. They go a bit smaller with Mitchell, Tyson, Merrill, Dean Wade, and Jared Allen. But I think you could see Naquan Tomlin start as well. So I think that's in the range of outcomes there. Dean Wade getting almost 20% ownership. I don't know if I love that. We know Dean Wade, not the best point per minute player. And I think we could get some better value opening up. I think there's already some value that I think I prefer. And so while I don't think he's an awful play, I don't know if I want to click 20% Dean Wade on this slate. You got Tomlin coming in a little bit less owned. I think I would only play him if he starts. If he comes out the bench, don't like it as much. Jalen Tyson's going to have a bigger role here as well. He's 6,600, projection about 10% ownership. Does have guard forward eligibility, and his minutes have been pretty secure, like playing mid-30s minutes in competitive games. So I don't mind him in the mid-range. Again, if you're kind of looking for a number 2 on offense, it's probably going to be Tyson. And then we got Sam Merrill, who I think starts. I don't know how many minutes he can play. He's been out for a couple of weeks. Right now, Stokastic got him for about 25 minutes. I think that makes sense. And he's projecting about 10% ownership. I think I would only play Merrill, though, if he starts. If he comes off the bench, I'm a little bit worried that they'll ease him back in. DeAndre Hunter is getting about 5% ownership. He's 5K. It's not the best price point, but I think he's still viable because with two high usage guys out of this offense, like someone's going to have to step up for this team. So could be DeAndre Hunter. I mean, we have seen 3 of his last 5 games, he's gone for about 30 fantasy points. So I think he's in play. I think it's tough to get to Craig Porter Jr. I don't really see him getting a massive increase in minutes. So yeah, overall, I agree with Allen and Mitchell ownership. I think Dean Wade's going a bit over-owned. And then I think those secondary plays are fine. Guys like Tyson and Merrill. And I think Hunter's okay for tournaments.
Completely agree on Mitchell. Completely agree on Allen. Completely agree on Dean Wade. There should be better versions of Dean Wade that aren't playing at 7 o'clock today. Not that he's a problem, not that it's an issue if you have him, but like, I think you can find that in 8 other games if you really want to. No issues with Jalen Tyson. One note for Sam Merrill, while he has missed the last 6 games and got injured on the 14th, it's a wrist, right hand sprain. So like realistically, he could still be in decent enough. Like that doesn't limit him from, any cardio or anything. So I'm not super worried about his minutes upside. I mean, to me, it's just like, I don't necessarily know if they even want to give him those minutes to begin with, but I don't think that will be any sort of limiting factor. I wouldn't be stressed that he can't get those minutes because I think he can.
That's a good point.
You want to do anything with these Lakers? Obviously, if you get a lineup with Luka Doncic in it, we're all cool with it, even if he's not the most efficient option here. We've got a 35% boom rate on a $12,200 Luka, but he's unowned. Laravia's unowned. LeBron's unowned. Rui's unowned. Everybody's unowned here. What do you want to do?
Yeah, so it is a bit tougher to get to Luka on this slate just because we don't have a ton of amazing value, but I do think if that ownership holds, that he's a pretty good tournament play just because it's Luka Doncic. So yeah, coming in around 5%. Obviously, love the upside in Luka if you can get to him. Just a matter of, do you feel comfortable with the rest of your lineup around Luka? So that's kind of the issue there. Laravia at around 10% feels a bit overowned. I think I'm okay not having that. LeBron at around 5%. I think I'll pass there. I would rather spend up for Luka if I was going to get to one of the Lakers spend ups. The minutes are way down on DeAndre Ayton, so don't think I can go there. I will mention you did get Rui Hachimura closing last game, so that was good to see. He did play 29 minutes as well, so I do think he's at least playable here for tournaments. 4,700 right now, projecting about 2% ownership. He's played well off the bench, and I think there's a decent chance if this game does stay competitive that he does close. So, yeah, he is a little bit interesting there, but not much else. I don't think I'll get to anyone else here for LA.
I really wish this game were at a different time because you mentioned Rui, and that's one that immediately just stands out to me for one very clear reason. Dean Wade's 4,200 obviously has the MPE. Rui $500 more expensive. They're projected for basically the same minutes. They're basically the same per minute guy. I'm intrigued by this a bit because we're seeing Dean Wade get 20% ownership and we're seeing Rui get 3. Like, yes, I agree that Dean Wade is a better play, slightly cheaper MPE. You want to swap those two guys out, I'd be fine with that as an ownership play. I just don't know if I care enough to do that in a 7 o'clock game. Like, I don't think that utility is there. But if this were later and we were seeing this, I would love the idea of swapping out a Wade for a Rui in this spot. Similarly, I'm still at least a little bit interested in DeAndre Ayton. If this were the $5 zone contest today with this spread out, I'd be more interested because I think there are just going to be games where now he's not going to close some fourth quarters. We've seen the price drop from 6,200 down to 5,500. If he doesn't close here, maybe it comes down a little bit more. All it takes is just like he's playing well in a matchup and Rui maybe misses a couple threes early and then Ayton's going to play 28, 29 minutes and just have a normal rotation. I'm intrigued by him. Like, I think he's about to get Mark Williams-y.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think he's viable in large field tournaments just because he has a wide range of outcomes. He's such a frustrating DFS roster because there are games where he can take over and look dominant, and there's games where he just looks lost out there. And so he's someone I would much rather take a shot on a low ownership. And again, he's projected for sub 1%. So yeah, I think I'm okay going there in a large field tournament just because if he plays well, yeah, I think you could get close to 30 minutes for DeAndre Ayton. It's just tough because he's only center eligible and we have a lot of good center plays in the slate. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I think he's certainly in the mix for large field tournaments.
Yeah. And again, it's just more of a like, this sucks for 7 o'clock thing, but something to keep in mind later. By the way, Jalen Brunson downgraded to questionable tonight.
Oh boy. Probably doesn't play then. Yeah. Jeez, what's going on with the Knicks?
Illness here. So who knows? Like you never know in these scenarios, but we'll see. FanDuel side for Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, 35% owned, Allen, 30, Tyson, close to 30, Tomlin 20, Dean Wade 15. Then you get to the Lakers, LeBron and Luka both around 15, but even just basically like a little bit more ownership to the Cavs, the same way that we have on the DraftKings side. No different names here, really. It's kind of the same consistency across the board. Just a little bit easier to get to LeBron and Luka on the FanDuel side, if that's the direction you want to go. More to talk about, folks. This slate is big. So we'll go to the other 7 o'clock game. Chicago Bulls, Indiana Pacers. Man, this Bulls team screwed me up this morning. So the injury report, at least this morning, I don't know if it's been fixed, has tomorrow's games as well included. Tomorrow, the Bulls play the Heat in the makeup game for the water on the court game, I think, or whatever it was. So that game, the NBA's injury report was automating the injury status from when that game was originally scheduled. So when I did my show this morning, I was like, well, Josh Giddey's out. Zach Collins is, or Jalen Smith is out with a concussion. And my chat was like, all those dudes are in. I was like, no, like, I'm looking at it right now. Like the injury report is good. And I pulled it up. It was pulling the second day of like stale data from a game that never even happened.
That's hilarious.
I was so confused. I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah. So that makes sense because, Smith was out for a concussion. That was like 3 weeks ago. So
I was like, oh, there's going to be so much value on the Bulls. There's like nobody left. And none of it was real. It was so stupid. So this game, Pacers 1.5 point dogs at home, 235 total. Clearly no defense getting played in this one, but no real ownership here either. 15% to Giddey at 7,800. Just north of 10 for Jarris Walker at 5,200, and Jarris Walker has a Q tag. And then it's sub 10% for everybody else. I would love to get pieces of this game because this should be a really advantageous DFS spot for DFS scoring. But I think these guys are all sort of priced where they should be.
Yeah, and this is a little bit tough too because this is the front end of a back-to-back for Chicago. They did say that they're going to try to play both Giddey and Kobe White in both ends of the back-to-back. And so I think that could mean like somewhat limited minutes on both of them. So I would be a lot more confident in Chicago, I think, if this wasn't a back-to-back. But we did hear from a Chicago beat writer that Giddey was up to a 28 minutes limit last game. So I think probably expecting around that makes sense. We'll see if he starts or not. Obviously, he didn't come off, or he came out the bench last game. I thought he would have started that game, but he didn't. And so we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, right now, I still think he's viable because he's only 7,800 and he is a really good point per minute player. And it's an up-tempo game here against the Pacers. So I have interest in Josh Giddey, even though I'm slightly worried about the minutes here on the front end of a back-to-back. So like the upside there. Jalen Smith, I think you can only get to him if he starts. If he comes out the bench, he's way too expensive. So keep an eye on the starting lineup there. Not a ton of ownership come to the rest of this team. You got give or take 5 to 10% for Buzelis, Okoro, Kobe White, and Vooch. Okoro is one of those guys, I think kind of similar to Dean Wade. I think he's a fine value right now, but I think we could probably get better value as the slate goes on. So I think I'm okay not having that. Buzelis also to me feels a bit over-owned, close to 10%. Kobe White and Vooch I'm kind of indifferent on it, about 5% ownership, 7K for Kobe White, 77 for Vooch. We have seen the minutes tick up a bit for Kobe White. I think probably expecting around 30 from him makes some sense. And then I'll mention Kevin Huerter as a large field tournament play right now, projecting for about 3% ownership. The minutes have been a little bit up and down on him. But I think you could, if he's playing well, I think you could see mid-20s minutes from Kevin Huerter. Played 24 minutes 2 games ago. So he's at least in consideration for me at very low ownership. And think that's it for Chicago. So one other thing to note, usually when they're on a back-to-back, they do extend the rotation a little bit. So I think we will see 10 guys in the rotation here for Chicago, where normally when they're not on a back-to-back, they tend to tighten up and usually go 9 guys.
Yeah, I just keep looking at this, and this just keeps striking me as a game where you build a chalky lineup and you pivot a piece to something here. And I don't really mind what it is, whether it's Giddey, whether it's Walker, if he ends up being in, whether it's Bazelis, whether it's Siakam. Like, I'm cool with most of these names because certainly the dudes that are like definitely going to be out there. But I have a hard time seeing them looking any different. Benedict Mathurin would be the one guy that I think is like sneaky-ish because no one's going to think about him at all. It's a good matchup against the Bulls. He's got guard forward eligibility. But again, this just comes back to it being a 7 o'clock game that if I can't find something that I'm like super interested in, I'm on a day like today, I'm just less interested in getting to it. And that appears to be what's happening in this game.
Yeah, on the Indiana side, again, we do have the Q tag still for Jarris Walker. So that is somewhat important here. I think Indiana could do a few different things. They could go back to a bigger lineup if he's out and throw in like Huff or Isaiah Jackson. They could try to still go small ball and maybe throw Benedict Mathurin in the starting lineup with the other 4 starters. So I am curious to see what happens there with Jarris Walker. He right now is getting the most ownership at about 15%. Don't necessarily love that if it holds, if he plays. So that does feel a little bit high to me. The rest of the Pacers, you're not getting insane ownership here. Like the price is up on Nembhard. I know the ball handling role has been amazing for him. He's averaging over the last 5 games over 80 passes made. But again, price has come up on him. Siakam's price is up a bit as well. So yeah, there's not a ton here. I think McConnell is fine at around 10% just because we don't have a ton of great value and he is a good point per minute player. Mathurin, I think if he starts, I definitely have some interest in him. If he comes off the bench, I think you're probably expecting mid-20s minutes. But one thing to note is he did close the blowout last game. So I think that gives me a little bit more confidence in his minutes. Like if they were really worried about Benedict Mathurin minutes, he would not have closed the blowout. But yeah, he closed the blowout last game with Huff, Ethan Thompson, Quentin Jackson, and Cam Jones. So I think there's a chance that he moves into the starting lineup here.
All right. FanDuel side for this game, a little bit more ownership here. Jalen Smith at 5,600 is 25% owned. Pascal Siakam at 8,500 is about 25% owned. And then you've got this gigantic pack of 10% owned dudes. Kobe White, Buzelis, McConnell, Giddey, Nesmith, Vooch, and Mathurin, all in that same range. But Jalen Smith, Pascal Siakam are the breakouts here, both around 25% optimal on FanDuel. That gets us out of the 7 o'clock games and leads us to 7:30. The Atlanta Hawks taking on the Boston Celtics, 231 total. Celtics are 5.5-point favorites here at home. No Reese Ashe, still. No Kristaps Porzingis, still. For the Boston Celtics, though, they've got a slightly different vibe today. No Neemias Queta, out for a non-COVID illness. Glad they specified. Luka Garza is available, even though he had potentially an illness. Jarris Walker, available to play today. So that was easy enough. Could have used that 5 minutes ago. That would have been helpful. Right. No ownership coming into this one, really, either. 15% to Anthony Simons, 10 for Pritchard, White, and Brown. 7 change for Luka Garza, 5 for Amari Williams. Nothing coming into Atlanta. How do you want to manage this Boston Celtics team without Neemias Queta?
Yeah, so I think this is pretty interesting here for Boston. My guess is you are going to get Williams in the starting lineup and then Luka Garza backing him up. I think you will see close to the 48 center minute split between those two. So last game without Garza, you did see them split the center minutes. Queta dealt with some foul trouble. He played 22 minutes, and then Williams played 26 minutes off the bench. So what I'm expecting here is Williams to get the start. Not the best point per minute player, but only projecting about 5% ownership and is 3,700. So I think he's interesting. But for me, I would much rather take the shot on Luka Garza. Similar ownership for Garza, but I just think the ceiling's much higher here on Luka Garza, better point per minute. And I think he could see like 25 minutes in a spot like this. So I like him quite a bit as a value option right now. So yeah, both centers are in play, but I give the edge there to Garza. The rest of Boston, the ownership on Anthony Simons doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I know he's been playing well, but 15% here with, Brown, White, and Pritchard all healthy. I don't know. So that one feels a little bit high to me. If that holds, I think I'm okay looking elsewhere for value. Pritchard, White, and Brown all around 10%. I don't really have much to add there. That makes sense. So yeah, and then Sam Hauser, I think, is a bit overpriced at 5,400, so I don't think we can go there. On the Atlanta side, there's not much ownership here. I will say with Kada out, the front court defense isn't going to be as good, so Okongwu does look a little bit better. But yeah, highest owned guy is like Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson around 5%, so both those guys are in play. Obviously, the ceiling is still high on Jalen Johnson. Daniels should be the primary defender on Jaylen Brown. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to any Hawks value. I know Luke Kennard's minutes have ticked up, but also his price point is up now to 4,200 to a point where I don't really think it's worth taking a shot on him.
There's nothing here. I mean, 5% ownership to Dyson Daniels at 6,700. As always, if you want to roll the dice on a pay up to be contrarian Jalen Johnson, he's probably going to look like some of the options I've had over the past, week or so, where 5% owned. The level at which this Boston defense is worse with Neemias Queta off the floor is going to be pretty staggering. Feels like a good Jalen Johnson spot if you want to be a little bit different. 10Ks, you're going to be contrarian by going to that spot, but I think there's going to be more than enough value to be able to handle that. It's a scary price tag, but I really like this spot for him. I wonder if Boston will play a little bit more Jordan Walsh today because of Jalen Johnson.
They might. Yeah, I could definitely see that as just as another defender. So
I could see them going a little small when Okongwu's off the floor if Jalen Johnson is out there, and that's just Jordan Walsh harassing him as much as he possibly can. Like, I could see Jordan Walsh playing like a lot of minutes today just because of Jalen Johnson. Like, as long as he can play to irritate him and pick up those fouls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would not be surprised. Again, I think some small ball is definitely in the range of outcomes. Like, I don't think you're going to get all 48 minutes from Garza and Williams. So I definitely think you could get some like Walsh at the 5 minutes.
Yeah, like we've got him in for 14 minutes. In this particular matchup with no Queta, I think that could be 28, and I wouldn't even bat an eye at it today. If he could handle that without like getting in foul trouble, because he's going to be in Jalen Johnson's shit if he can do it. That's the only way that he knows how to do it at this point. But just thinking about it for right now. On the FanDuel side for this one, as I slowly but surely get to it, they don't play Indiana, they play Atlanta. There we go. 18% ownership to Jaylen Brown, 17 and 17.9 to Derek White, slightly behind. Simons at 12, Pritchard at 12. It's the same sort of story. You're getting to those four dudes from Boston. The next highest owned guy on the FanDuel side is 5% to Onyeka Okongwu. So far, DraftKings and FanDuel seem to be in lockstep with which plays look best in these first three games. Not a lot of disparity here whatsoever. I think that will start to change as we dig in a little bit further. Orlando Magic, Miami Heat. No Franz Wagner for Orlando. For Miami, Davion Mitchell, doubtful. Khalil Ware, questionable. Do you think Davion Mitchell being doubtful negatively impacts Donovan Mitchell's ownership by any account? Because like I saw Arcathelza thinking it was Donovan Mitchell in here earlier. That's going to be a lot of dudes. I bet if Donovan Mitchell had a Q tag today, he would be like disproportionately lower owned than he normally would because of that Davion Mitchell doubtful tag. Anywho, 29% ownership to Drew Smith right now. Everybody else 10 or below. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here, shall we? How do you feel about a 4K Drew Smith?
Yeah, so no Davion Mitchell. You will see Drew Smith playing more off the bench, but another situation where I don't know, that feels a little bit high to me right now. So, so looking at the rotation last game for Miami, he played 4 minutes in the first quarter and then another 4.5 in the second quarter. So about 8.5 minutes in the first half. And then he ended up closing the game with some of the starters, which I don't think is a guarantee that he closes. So I think there is definitely some variance to his minutes. I could see on the low end, if he struggles, he could see like 15, 16 minutes. If he's playing really well, I think he could play like 25. So yeah, if he's going to be 30% owned, that just scares me a bit. So also, again, like I said, feels overowned like some of the other value that we've talked about on this slate. There's not a ton of ownership going to the rest of Miami. Also, we still are waiting, I believe, for Khalil Ware news. Yeah. He is still questionable. So he practiced yesterday, but not a guarantee that he plays. If he misses, you would get Jovic playing the backup center position, and I think he would be viable in tournaments if there's no Khalil Ware. So just keep an eye on that. But yeah, you got like Paul, Hawkes, Bam all around 5 to 10%. Nothing really to add there. Obviously, more usage for Paul without Tyler Hero. Hawkes' minutes been pretty secure off the bench, and Bam pretty consistently playing low 30s minutes. Wiggins feels a little bit overpriced to me, as does Pele Larson. So I think I'll pass there. But yeah, if this Drew Smith ownership is going to hold, I think I'm okay going underweight to that as well.
If Khalil Ware is out, do you like Jovic more than Drew Smith? I assume the answer is yes, but I figured I'd ask.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that Jovic, he just has the higher ceiling. We have seen games where without Khalil Ware, Jovic has played like mid-20s minutes. So like we saw him a couple games ago in Utah. I know that game was a blowout, but he played 25 minutes, played a decent amount in the first half as well. 3 games ago against Portland, he got his second half rotation slash, but in the first half, Jovic played 7 minutes in the first quarter and then another 7 in the second quarter. So yeah, I think if there's no Khalil Ware, I guess I don't think Jovic ownership would go up a ton. So I think I'd rather take the shot on him in tournaments than play 30% Drew Smith.
Do you have any interest in anything from the Orlando side? Because I'm struggling to like anything. I have no problem getting to Desmond Bane. I think Suggs is going to slowly get sneaky because I think he's just going to randomly play 30 minutes one day and we don't see it coming. But I mean, we do have quite a bit of positive leverage on Suggs at this moment. 9.9% optimal, 4.8% owned. There's just not a priority here coming from Orlando.
Yeah, to me, it just feels like a lot of secondary plays for the Magic. So the positive is they've just been running the starters a lot. Last game, you saw 37 minutes for Anthony Black, 40 minutes for Paolo, 38.5 for Desmond Bane, 33.5 for Wendell Carter Jr. So that is a good thing for sure. But yeah, they're all just kind of last pieces in. Like Paolo, I'm okay with at 3%. Bane at 10% is fine as the last guy in, as is Anthony Black. So yeah, I don't have a ton to add here for Orlando. Jalen Suggs, I think will probably be in that mid-20s minute range. So I think I'm okay passing on him. Mo Wagner, 3,500, projecting about 5% ownership. I think you're probably expecting low teens minutes from him, but is a good point per minute player. I think it's someone you can mix in as a contrarian value. We did see 15 minutes from him 3 games ago. So I think probably floor is like 12 minutes, ceiling 15 minutes for him. So yeah, I think he's a little bit interesting, especially if like Drew Smith and Dean Wade and guys like that are going to be very popular.
I'm going to advocate for Suggs right now. I'm going to plant a flag here. 27 minutes last time out is up. And they did get him out there for a tiny rotation. He played 3 minutes at the end of the fourth quarter in a game where they were already still down by double digits. They could stretch that a minute or two because he played a slightly short rotation to start the first quarter, did the full normal stagger rotation, both in the first half and the second half. If this game is relatively close late, I think he's live to grab an extra 2 or 3. That would take him to 29. We've got him in right now for 25.5. I think there's some upside in Suggs. I'm gonna hitch my wagon to Suggs today.
Yeah, I could see it, like him pushing for close to 30 in a competitive game. It always scares me because he's been so injury prone. Yep. But yeah, like 27 minutes last game was definitely good to see from 24 the previous.
All right, let's take a quick peek at FanDuel for this Miami-Orlando game. As we keep it moving, hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. It helps us out a ton. And we certainly want to run that like number up for the Live Before Lock crew. You're going to get Greg and Eric up at 6 p.m. breaking this bad boy down and taking you all the way up until 7. Drew Smith on the FanDuel side at 3,900 is 35% owned. So if you didn't like it on DraftKings, congratulations. It's worse on FanDuel. If you liked Suggs on DraftKings, well, I hope you like him on FanDuel. 5,600, 30% owned, 41% optimal. Not the same sort of play on FanDuel. I like him as a sneak on DraftKings. Apparently, you have to be there on the FanDuel side. 15% for Wendell Carter Jr. and Paolo Banchero. 10 more for Anthony Black, Norm Powell, and Desmond Bane. This is a very different game on FanDuel in comparison to DraftKings. Two pretty heavily owned guys with a bit more support here. We keep it moving. We're through 4 games at this point. We still have 5 more to go. This is a fun slate, man. I'm enjoying breaking this down. I don't know how much we're going to be able to say about this one at the moment, but we can at least break it down what we think is going on in the New York Knicks and Toronto Raptors, because about 15 minutes ago or so, we got the news. On the Knicks side, Miles McBride already out. Mitchell Robinson already out. Jalen Brunson now questionable with an illness. Josh Hart questionable with right ankle soreness. For Toronto, Colin Murray-Boyles is questionable. He's been out for the past couple games. So we're not showing anything in this game of value yet, because all these guys are still in. So the most owned of anybody in this game, if everybody plays, is Karl Anthony Towns at 10%. Let's not even bother having the conversation about this game if these guys are all in. Unless you have if everybody's in, did you have anything you liked for the Knicks or Raptors that you wanted to touch on either way?
Yeah, so if everyone's in, I like Cat at 8,300. I think you will see a minutes increase without Mitchell Robinson. I know he's been very up and down, and the minutes have ticked down on Cat, but yeah, I think you could definitely see like 35 minutes from Cat here in a competitive game. So 10% if everyone's in, I still like them. But yeah, not much else to add. Like guys like Brunson, Hart, Bridges, OG, all are pretty similar to me.
This is the first game we're going to talk about that will help to explain why you should probably get away from someone like Dean Wade or potentially someone like Drew Smith. Let's hypothesize Jalen Brunson for now, because Josh Hart opens up different kinds of cans of worms, because like realistically, every other person on the roster can fill in for Josh Hart, whereas it's a pretty finite path for anybody filling in for Brunson. I'm just going to pull Toronto out of here so we can look at the Knicks a little bit better. We've got Jordan Clarkson sitting at 3,200, shooting guard, small forward eligible. We have Tyler Kolek sitting at 3,100, point guard eligible. If Brunson's out, you think it's Kolek or do you think it's Clarkson?
I think it's Kolek. Just like normally in this situation, it would be Miles McBride, but we don't have McBride either. And I just feel like they want Clarkson as the guy like the scorer off the bench. And so, yeah, I think it would be Tyler Kolek in this scenario if Brunson sits. Not super confident in that, but that's my lean right now.
Now, if they're both out, Brunson and Hart, I don't really care which one's starting at that point. We're going to be playing the shit out of both Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kolek. You're going to be playing them both if Brunson is out regardless, just kind of by default. If they're both out, then you don't really have to stress as much because they're just running out of bodies that they typically use. But $3,100 Tyler Kolek, if he is given the start, is going to be a massive priority today.
Yeah, he'd be by far my favorite value on the slate. So, and this is 6:30 game. So we may or may not get it before the lock of the first game. I would say we probably do based on kind of how we've been getting injury reports this year, but you never know. Like we might get it like right at lock or right after lock.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we got Hart sooner. I could see Brunson being like all the way up to the wire since it's illness. Like you just stretch that. Not to mention, whatever it matters, you fuck with Toronto a little bit more with Brunson. I don't think Toronto gives a single shit whether it's Josh Hart or not.
Yeah, I will say too, if Josh Hart is out, I think it's between Shamet or Diawara that would start. We've seen kind of spot starts for Diawara before, so I think that would be possible. Or they could go to Shamet. But yeah, if they're both out, that's going to be like, this team is going to be really shorthanded. And I think would probably be one of your best teams to get to on the slate for sure.
Yeah, Clarkson is 3,200, as I mentioned. Shamet, as you just mentioned, 3,900 shooting guard, small forward eligible. I do want to point out one thing. Jordan Clarkson in our model, 0.71 fantasy points per minute here. Landry Shamet, 0.61. Kolek leading the charge at 0.81. These guys do need those minutes because they're all absolutely shit from a per minute perspective. So it is going to have to break that way to like really like it. Otherwise, it starts to get a little scary. If we lose them both, we're just going to see massive ownership coming into them in the aggregate. Do you think it opens up anybody else? Any Yabu? Any Huck Porty? Like, how do we want to handle it? Because we don't have Mitchell Robinson here either today.
Yeah, I think both would probably be in the rotation and play some backup five, just because if you take those two out, like they're really running out of bodies. This Cat 1, Bridges 2, OG 3, Shamet 4, Clarkson 5, Kolek 6, Huck Porty 7, Yabusele 8, Diawara 9. So I think they would only have 9 guys. So I think both would play and just play a bit. So I don't think I would have a ton of interest in Huck Porty or Yabusele. But mainly I think I would be looking to Kolek, Clarkson first. And then obviously I think Cat would look better. The wings would look better that are playing Bridges and OG. So if they're both out, I still don't know if I get to Huck Porty or Yabusele, unless they do something weird and start one of them. I don't think they would, but so I think they would kind of split some minutes off the benches, like backing up Cat. So I think I'd pass in those two.
Assuming Colin Murray-Boyles is in today, your highest owned Raptor is 1.3% owned Emmanuel Quickley. Is there a worse team today to roster than the Toronto Raptors?
There's really not much here. Price points are all up too when this team was shorthanded, and now I think they'll be fully healthy. My lean right now is that Colin Murray-Boyles is going to play. Went through a full practice yesterday, and it's just a thumb too, so I kind of think that he'll play. But they did say they're going to see how he responds to it and how he feels. So I'll keep an eye on that. If he does not play, I actually don't think that Mamouklashvili would start. I think they would go a bit smaller and throw. They like Scotty Barnes on Cat, so I think they would do that and maybe throw like a Bocce or Jacoby Walter in the starting lineup, or even Jamal Shed. I think would all be possible. I don't think that Mamouklashvili would start, even if Murray-Boyles gets ruled out.
Okay. And if Murray-Boyles gets ruled out, I'm guessing we're also still not going to be interested in anything from the Raptors.
Yeah, it would really just, you would see an increase in minutes for guys like, Walter and Ngbachi. And I just don't think I would go there on this slate. So, not much else here.
All righty. Just to touch on it quickly on the FanDuel side, I'm not going to spend too much time here. As of right now, 15% ownership to Colin Murray-Boyles. Everybody else is sub 10%. The Knicks are obviously live to change dramatically here. Kolek at 3,700, Clarkson at 38, Shaman at 39. But it's kind of the same story. There's not a lot of ownership here. There's certainly not a lot of ownership coming into Toronto.
Yeah, someone asked about
Raptors. Set of news.
Someone asked about the Raptors spread right now at 4.5. I think it's kind of hedged for Brunson to be out. That's going to move, I think, a little bit more if Brunson doesn't play. So right now, I think it's kind of in the middle.
All right, we just got to the 8 o'clock game now, which means we've got an 8, an 8:30, a 9, and a 9:30. This is where business starts to pick up. And this is where, with 20 minutes to go until live before lock, I reiterate that you can sign up at Stokastic using the promo code PRO and get 30% off any single DFS package that you're looking for. That link is in the description. If you want the NBA package to get everything we have on the screen so far, the single lineup sim, our props tool for right now, the contest generator, the true sims, the late swaps, the post contest sims, it's all there if you sign up for an NBA package. Maybe you want to check out MMA, maybe you want to check out golf. You can do all of those things as well. And if you're an NHL person, while we don't have sims, we do have projections and ownership. Again, link in the description. Click it. Promo code PRO. We move to 8. Charlotte Hornets, Memphis Grizzlies. Hornets 1.5 point favorites in Memphis. Now, it doesn't sound as crazy once you remember that Ja Morant is not going to be playing for Memphis, or Zach Edey. Not that he's been in recently, but he's actually one of the good guys on the Memphis Grizzlies. For the Hornets, everybody's available. So we've got about 10 to 15% ownership on Con Knipple and Brandon Miller. And then everybody else in this game is sub 10%. I certainly don't trust anything for Memphis when all these idiots are just going to play like 27 minutes apiece. And I think Charlotte's just sort of all at the same correct price point now that everybody's been like pretty healthy lately.
Yeah, so for Charlotte, I want to keep an eye on the starting lineup. This is the front end of a back-to-back, and we have seen the last two front end of the back-to-backs that LaMelo came off the bench. If he starts, I'm more confident in his minutes, and I think he could see high 20s if he does start. So I want to keep an eye on that. If LaMelo starts and is only going to be 5% owned, I think he would be a pretty interesting GPP play. But the wings look pretty similar to me. Knipple, Miller, and Bridges all hovering around 10%. They're all fine. Last guy's into me. So not a ton to add there. Diabate at 5,100, I think is going a bit under-owned. I think he could very easily see close to 30 minutes in a competitive game. Obviously, last game was a massive blowout. Kalkbrenner got extended there. But yeah, nothing else for me for the value for Charlotte. On the Memphis side, as you mentioned, they just continuously run a 10-man rotation here. So there's not a ton of ownership. I do like Cam Spencer, though, sub 10%. I think he's going a bit under-owned. Hasn't really shot the ball the best, but the potential has just been great over the last couple of games. So I have a bit more interest in him than the field right now. Coward, Landale, Jaren, and Aldama are all pretty similar plays to me, all around 5%. I do think Vince Williams is a bit interesting as well at 4,500. He'll play the backup point and does have guard forward eligibility. So I think he's an okay contrarian play, but just don't expect huge minutes. I think ceiling minutes for Vince Williams would probably be in like the low 20s. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to anyone else from Memphis. It's just an annoying rotation that they continue to run. So
I wish I had something interesting to say. I think this is like the most difficult game to look at. Like I find like every single name I see is just some 5K, 6K dude that looks exactly like his neighbor. All the boom rates are the same. All the ownership rates are the same. There's no separation here for me. I'm happy to hide ownership here in an 8 o'clock game and then swap around if I need to. There's not a single name I look at on this list of players and I see anything at all. By the way, chat, don't listen to people that don't know shit at all. None of that happened. So just ignore people that are clearly clueless. Davion Mitchell ruled out. I'm going to hold my wrist up for one more second just to see if they drop that Ware news. Khalil Ware, available to play.
Okay.
So there we go. Ooh, let me hit FanDuel for Charlotte and Memphis as quickly as I can. And just to let you guys know, Cam Spencer, 12% owned. Cedric Howard, 10% owned. Same story here, folks. Very minimal ownership coming into Memphis and Charlotte. If you've got an angle, if you've got somebody you like there, I don't think it's crazy. It's just hard to prioritize any individual there. Minnesota and Dallas. Minnesota 7.5 point favorites in Dallas, 228 total. Anthony Edwards available. Leonard Miller available. On the Dallas side, Cooper Flagg questionable. Klay Thompson questionable. Ryan Nembhard already probable, just to put that out there. But lots up in the air on the Dallas side. About 10 to 15% ownership on Gobert, Brandon Williams, Naz Reid, Max Christie, and then it falls off. But obviously, if we lose Cooper Flagg and or Klay Thompson, we might be able to free some stuff up on Dallas.
Yep, another spot I think we could get some pretty good value opening up here for Dallas. I'll quickly touch on Minnesota, though. They're pretty easy to talk about. Gobert and Naz both around 10%, 6,400 for Gobert, 6K for Naz. I think are fine options. Anthony Edwards at 5% is a viable tournament play. Does have a pretty high ceiling here. And I don't think I would get to anyone else for Minnesota. They're priced up a little bit from what Ant missed last game. Dallas, I think, is much more interesting here. Right now, not a ton of ownership. It's Williams and Christie, and then that's about it. But Cooper Flagg news is big. He partially practiced yesterday, and then Klay Thompson, a downgrade there, does worry me a bit. So I think you definitely could see both these guys get rolled out. And in that scenario, I think Dallas will look way more interesting I think that PJ Washington would have to start in that scenario. He's only 6,300, so I think he would be a pretty interesting play there in the mid-range. Brandon Williams, Najee Marshall would look a lot better. Curious to see what they do at the starting lineup. They could start Nemhard, or they could go to Brandon Williams, but I think one of those guards would have to start it if both those guys are out. So I would definitely want to keep an eye on that. And then the center minutes here with Powell and Gafford, I think I'll pass there. But yeah, Dallas could look really interesting here if both these guys are out. I would say slightly lean out on both right now, but not super confident.
Let's say there's no Cooper flag, because I think that's an easier talking point here. Who do you think benefits the most if we don't have flag?
If there's no flag, I would say probably Brandon Williams, just because I think they would need some ball handling. And I think you could definitely see him playing close to 30 minutes. So, yeah, I would say probably him or PJ Washington would benefit the most if there's no flag.
Yeah, PJ Washington was my first lean. I just don't know how much they can play him. He's obviously been in and out of the lineup lately. Got 26 minutes last time out, which is about where we have him. If you can bump him to 30, we can start having a slightly more realistic conversation about what he is. Najee Marshall is obviously going to look better, but not like he's already getting those minutes. So that's going to be, Colin Murray-Boyle's in. He's obviously going to be like a little bit tougher. If it's both flag and Clay, that we're probably unlocking something down the line for Dallas. What that ends up being could be a little bit more up in the air.
Yep. And that CMB one's big for me. I took a Sandro under earlier, so I'm happy about that.
Attaboy. Is there anything else here for you? Do you have any real interesting Minnesota notes? I'm happy to take Gobert in a matchup where Dwight Powell is likely the starter, but obviously, if you would like to roster Anthony Edwards at any point in time in your life, go for it. But I don't think anything from Minnesota is awesome.
Yeah, nothing awesome. I like Ant for GPPs. I think Gobert and Naz Reid are playable. I think I slightly prefer Gobert to Naz, but yeah, not much else to add there. Minnesota runs pretty consistent rotation every single night. So,
all right, we'll hop over to the FanDuel side for this one. Even though Greg Ehrenberg seems to think that I don't ever talk about FanDuel in any way, I wouldn't say that unless I knew that Greg was just hiding out here, waiting to get started for Live Before Lock. Hit a like button if you're excited to have Greg waiting to come on to Live Before Lock for today. On the FanDuel side for this game, 13% ownership to Julius Randle. Every single other player in this game is sub 10%. So be ready for late swaps, because this one could be very, very important. This is what we play these slates for. Late swaps on days where there are a bunch of dudes with Q tags. Speaking of teams that have a bunch of guys on Q tags, they don't even need Q tags in this one. You could not have a Q tag and still not play. For the Utah Jazz, for the Warriors side of this one, Gary Payton available, Steph Curry available, Draymond Green available. Clearly no Butler, no Kuminga. For Utah, Kevin Love is out for rest. Cody Williams, questionable. Yusuf Nurkic, questionable. And one particular name on this list, not shown at all, Lauri Markkanen. What in the world do you think the Jazz are doing today, if anything? Let's start there, because it's easier to talk about Golden State.
Yeah, so I'm shocked that Lauri is playing today because he's been out for so long. They've been so cautious with him, and he just played about 30 minutes in the front end of a back-to-back. So that really surprised me that he is not on the injury report. So yeah, I am definitely worried about Lauri minutes. So I would not go there. Nurk and Cody Williams are both questionable, as you mentioned. I don't really have a lean on Nurkic. Obviously didn't play yesterday, just an illness. The spread opened Golden State 8.5-point favorites, and that's kind of what's at right now. So yeah, I don't have a super strong lean there on Nurk. If he does get rolled out, you should get Filipowski starting. I think he would be interesting. As far as Cody Williams goes, so and he played yesterday and then obviously added the injury report. So I would say slightly lean out on him. We saw Svi Mykhailiuk get the DNP last game. So I think what would happen is you would just get Svi Mykhailiuk starting for Cody Williams if he gets rolled out. But yeah, Jazz are a nightmare here, and you never know. Like you might get like a late add like Laurie to the injury report, and then he doesn't end up playing, and then it's a spot where like you want to get a lot of Jazz exposure. So be ready for some chaos here for Utah. Also, just keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like if we get like Nurkic and Laurie in, and then they're not in the starting lineup, you should expect them to DNP. And yeah, so I think you could get some craziness here for Utah.
I want to say two things regarding this. One, if you don't see Yusuf Nurkic in the starting lineup, just assume he's not going to be on the floor. If they play him off the bench, fuck it. We're like, he can't. Well, I don't expect that to happen. No one does. But so if you don't see him starting, ignore it. They cannot do that with Lauri Markkanen. Like, he's just going to be a starter, or we're going to get news that they ruled him out. He will not be a DNP CD. They will get fined for that. Now, whether they want to eat that fine or whatever it ends up being is a different conversation. He is not someone that they can just not talk about. He has they can sit Nurkic till the cows come home and tell no one about it, and it doesn't matter. They cannot do that with Lauri Markkanen. Yeah, or at least they are not. They are not supposed to do that, and they can get fined for it. So, just putting that out there.
One other thing, I do think Keontae is interesting for tournaments. Like whoever plays, if Laurie, Nurk, whoever. I think Keontae is interesting at like he's 2% right now. So I think he's viable, but we might get some value here for Utah. Again, Filipowski would start if there's no Nurkic. If they don't play Laurie, then you're seeing more like slow-mo, Taylor Hendricks. But right now, I think the most likely scenario is Laurie, Nurk in, Cody out, Svi starting, and somewhat normal. But just be ready for some chaos here.
What will help you be ready for that chaos is the fact that Al Horford is 40% owned. Steph Curry's 25, Draymond's 25, DeAnthony Melton is 15. How are you feeling about the 40% Al Horford experience? 4,300 power forward center eligible.
Yeah, it scares me a little bit, but the good thing with Al Horford is it's a later game and it gives you flexibility. So while I do think he's going over-owned, I'm a little bit more inclined to eat the Horford chalk right now as opposed to like Dean Wade chalk that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
So I don't think it's a guarantee that he starts. I would say slightly lean that he starts, but they could do something weird. They could go to Guy Santos and go a bit smaller. But yeah, so I think Horford's solid value right now, again, does give you that flexibility. I think most likely you're expecting low 20s minutes from him, which makes him a decent point per dollar play. Steph and Draymond both around 25%. It's a fantastic matchup here against Utah, so totally understand why they're getting some ownership. Melton should be in the low to mid 20s minutes off the bench. He'll be that high usage guy. I think he makes sense in the mid range. Podziemski's price is up. He's projecting for a little less than 10% ownership, but I think he's still playable. Moody at 5,200, still viable as well, but I think both those guys are a little bit pricey. And yeah, not much else here. I still expect them to run a pretty deep rotation, but main guys like Horford, Steph, Draymond, Melton, I think all look like really good point per dollar plays. I think the ownership is a bit high in Horford, but again, it does give you that flexibility, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I would not be stressed about any ownership that I'm getting to anybody here for Golden State. Whether you like the Al Horford ownership or not, deal with it later with all these late swaps. That's what this slate is for. This will make your life easier. On the FanDuel side, Steph Curry about 25% owned, Melton just shy of 20, Horford at 15, where he's center only, very different play. And then Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, both around 10. But obviously, Utah aggressively subject to change. That is as up in the air as things can be. But the Golden State Warriors are quite the priority today, folks. So make sure you're getting there. And then we get the actual main event of tonight, although we did get some sad news for this one earlier today. In terms of actual basketball, San Antonio Spurs, 2.5-point dogs in Houston, 220 total. The best game to watch tonight is the last game of the day. Jeremy Sohan, questionable, no other news. No news for Houston other than this. Steven Adams, done for the year, ankle surgery. That blows. But maybe, just maybe, it opens up Houston to do some real wild shit in the next 2 weeks. One thing you're not doing with Houston and San Antonio, though, it's burying any ownership here. 9.5% to Reed. Shepherd is the highest of anybody. Everybody else, sub 5%. Certainly don't mind hiding it on Wemby or Şengün or Amen or Kevin Durant, but it does not appear to have any priorities here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game for real life basketball and for watching, but maybe not so much for DFS. Wemby, I do think is interesting though at 3% ownership. I know he really struggled the last time they played Houston, but we have seen the minutes tick up for him. He played 33 minutes 2 games ago against Utah. He played 31.5 last game against the Pelicans. So this is a pretty big game against Houston. I would not be surprised if you get those ceiling minutes for Wemby and he plays 33, maybe even 34 minutes. So while I don't love the matchup, I do think he is interesting because of the ownership. And he's only 10.2K. So definitely would like to get overweight to him if I was MMEing, if that ownership holds at 3%. But yeah, Castle and Fox, I don't think I'm going to get there. Castle is a little bit cheaper. He's projected about 5% ownership. You do have Devin Vassell back for San Antonio. I think there's a chance he moves back in the starting lineup as well. But yeah, there's nothing. I think it's just Wemby for me, and that's it. And then on the Houston side, so you mentioned like Steven Adams is a big loss for them. That definitely sucks. Hopefully they do make a move here before the deadline. Reed Shepherd projecting about 10% ownership. It scares me. The minutes are up and down on him. And he is someone that like, if he is struggling out there defensively, he can get the quick hook. We've seen that a lot. But he's only 4,300, so he's playable. Tari Eason started last game. He's 6K. I think you're probably expecting 25 minutes or so. I think he's a fine last guy in. Guys like Şengün, Amen Thompson, KD, all in the 2 to 3% ownership range. I mean, it's not a good spot here either, but those are still guys you can mix in large field tournaments. But yeah, I wouldn't get to anyone else. Capella, I don't even know if he gets all the non-Şengün minutes, and definitely not wasting a center spot there. So that's it for me for Houston.
Yeah, I want to watch the hell out of this basketball game, but I am not confident I'm going to have too much of it in DFS. But I certainly like the idea of stashing some ownership on somebody like Victor Wembanyama and finding out that I've got an interesting path to him late in a more unique lineup. But this is just a tough sell. It's a great real basketball game. It's a really tough DFS game. And with a minute and 45 to go, I can actually hit the FanDuel side of the final game and not get any guff before we switch this one over to live before lock. And this one will be very simple. There is absolutely no ownership coming into the San Antonio Spurs or Houston Rockets on FanDuel. Tari Eason leading the charge at 6.4% ownership. It is non-existent. We've got a hell of a slate ahead of us today. 9 games straight through the night. Same things on DraftKings and FanDuel. And you guys still have another hour to go until we get to lock. But before we do any of it, DK, tell the people where to find you.
You guys can find me over on Tails. So I have DFS content as well as player props. We got pick'em stuff, sportsbook stuff. So yeah, that's all over on Tails. I track everything as well on Pickett. So and I think we just got Cody Williams out for Utah. So that's what the chat's saying at least.
Cody Williams ruled out. So you always get big news when you get to live before lock, and no news is bigger than Cody Williams out for the Jazz tonight. We might as well just turn it over to live before lock and let them chew on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I have lineups that I just built and had all ready to go, and obviously all invalidated now that Cody Williams is out. The massive slate breaking news they've been waiting for the entire night. So good shout out you there, Josh. And guys, if you didn't like the video and the show yet for DK and Josh, do it right now for Eric and myself. Josh and DK, good luck.
Do it for DK and Josh. Stop it. Plus, DK, I don't know if you noticed this yesterday. I normally am checking in on your plays more than anybody else over at Tails because 1, you're sharp. 2, you do everything the right way. But 3, I didn't see Kyle Filipowski under, and we hit a middle yesterday. We hit the dead perfect middle. I jammed 19.5 when it hit there. You took under 22.5 earlier in the day. What a time to be alive when everybody wins.
I thought that came down too much. Like I wasn't at my place, but I was like, they said it came down to 17.5. I'm like, okay, I think that's a little bit too much.
It was getting ridiculous. And so I was like, guys, I don't know what's going on. I don't even care if he doesn't start anymore. And so it just became a jam. But what a beautiful, beautiful rebound with like 30, 40 seconds left by Kyle Filipowski. So everybody wins. That made me happy. Thought I'd share.
Yeah, love to see that.
There we go. There we go.
Later, boys.
Fellas, have a good night. Have a good night.
Guys.
And boy, Eric, we had a ton of injuries last night, and no different for today, which we could expect. It's very rare that in 2026 you get a 9-game NBA DFS slate. Usually the late games get chopped off some of these slates, but not going to be the case for today. So we already found out that, like Josh said there, Cody Williams, he's out, but we still got Nurkic questionable. Jalen Brunson, he was downgraded to questionable like 45 minutes ago. Cooper Flagg is questionable. Josh Hart is questionable. And when you consider Mitchell Robinson's already out, Jalen Brunson potentially questionable, we could see all kinds of value on the Knicks. Do you have any strong takes on injuries for tonight, Eric?
Oh God. I think one of them is that something's going to break in Utah. Like, we got the Cody Williams piece of news. I'm very shocked that Lauri Markkanen's playing today. It was conditioning before for like the last couple, just such a BS tag. This is basically Utah knowing that they might have to unload Lauri in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's a team that's obviously going nowhere. And you know, the more he plays, the more opportunities he has to get hurt. That's why I'm so shocked, because it's like, well, it's a back-to-back. Teams, even good teams, rest guys like Joel Embiid on back-to-backs nonstop. So what are we doing with Lauri? But Yusuf Nurkic is obviously a gigantic one. And, you know, I'm not the biggest Al Horford fan in the entire world at this stage. You've probably realized that. But even though I don't even think it's a guarantee that he starts, even though I don't really care, I'm just playing a ton of him and hoping that that can turn into something of Kyle Filipowski nature, or, you know, we're potentially going to get some Dallas guys that we can play if we get Clay and Cooper Flagg out. Yeah, the Brunson Hart one is hard. I think they're more likely to play. Illness and right ankle. You obviously want him to sit, but like, there's no injury news in the first 3 games. So we're playing those straight up and just trying to late swap into stuff. I think you know how Greg and I like to do things by now. We're generally looking to backload lineups and looking for those edges. So curious what you think.
I would be pretty surprised if Brunson plays. Downgraded with an illness at, you know, like 2 hours before the game starts. We don't see typically that late day of downgrades with an illness.
I'm weird though with that lately. I mean, they've been like hypersensitive. I think that this year might be a little bit different than in years past. There's like a hypersensitivity to like any kind of risk now. These teams don't really want to risk it. And I don't know. It still feels like I still feel for whatever reason, like he's more likely to play.
Okay. Yeah. So we could be on opposite end. We'll keep score.
You don't go and travel through customs in Toronto without the intent to play basketball today. We'll put it that way.
Hey, people like when we go head to head on the injuries. You lean one way, I lean the other way.
You usually win.
Right, one of us is wrong.
Yeah, I get it. You want to make fun of me. I get it.
Get fired up. Hey, no, but we can make fun of me if I'm on the wrong side of it too. I think Jalen Brunson sits. You think Jalen Brunson plays? There we go. Now we go head to head.
Like
one of us will
5%, and it doesn't really matter because obviously I want to build around that news to some extent. So hi, Jordan Clarkson. Hi, Tyler Kolek. What are we doing here?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But Jalen Brunson, he's questionable. Josh Hart, I don't have as good of a lean on. Here's something I'm going to say about Nurkic. Something that you guys probably have observed already at this point with Nurkic, regardless of whether he is in or out. If they say he's available to play, but then he's not starting, he's probably not playing. We have seen, 2-3 times over the last couple of weeks, Nurkic, they said he was available to play, but then he didn't start and just doesn't end up playing any minutes. If Nurkic doesn't start, he's almost certainly going to play 0 minutes. That's been the case every time he hasn't started this season.
I shouldn't have brought up customs in Toronto. I didn't care that much about it. It was just a comment like, God, people, God, take everything so literal. God, I don't actually care. It was more of just like,
I care.
I hate you all.
Yeah, really Stephen Lewis. I don't think Brunson knew he was going to be ill today when he went through customs.
Thanks, guys. I see the comments. I can read them. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, and look, I'll throw it up from the other side here because yeah, to be fair, Greg is wrong a lot on injury predictions. Pretty even. Yeah, I'd say that's if we're being like completely just non-biased, objective, I would say that if we kept a scoreboard of the years of Eric and I doing these shows together, we're probably about dead even on injuries. Because the reality is a lot of them, when guys are questionable, it's very frequently 50-50 calls. So when it's, you're doing coin flips over the course of many
I think
years,
I'm right 80% of the time.
Just 80%.
Yeah. Oh, God.
80% of the time, he's right every time. What is this? Is this? Oh my God! It's his mother calling. who of course he's going to ignore and not pick up. But also Eric, still all these. Also, you would think the amount of times we made fun of Eric for this on shows that he would have figured out by now how to mute his phone, but apparently not the case. Oh my God. So here's the other thing I'm confused by. Eric isn't even muted, but somehow he's talking to his mom and isn't coming across over the audio. How are you doing that without being muted?
What are you talking about?
So what's your mom? Just real quick, what's Mama Lindquist doing?
Well, I have it all the way down. I have the volume down on my iPad. I answered it on my iPad. So there's that. And
yeah, I like this conspiracy for Mike. Eric has 2 phones and calls himself. This in the middle of shows when Eric doesn't want to
get a new phone.
He's like, I have to bail. I have to call myself, so I have an excuse to leave.
I got the new phone now. I still have an old iPad, and then I have nice MacBook Pro. And
yeah, which of course means absolutely no way to. Everybody knows that one of the features of the new equipment is that you can't mute it. It rings and it goes forever. So that's what happens. The new ones, they don't mute. It's one of the features to make sure you never miss a call. Dude. Sotex wants you to say hi to your mother for him.
Fuck you, Sotex. Dorothy Lindquist is a saint. That's actually a great comment. I appreciate that.
How does he know your mom's name?
It's not my mom's name.
Interesting. Well, anyway, let's talk about what it is that we're actually going to be making any adjustments for, if anything, heading into lock. Because, the Knicks game, it is fairly early locking. It's a 7:30 Eastern time game. There's only 2 games at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Bulls and Pacers, as well as Cavs and Lakers. So I want to know, Eric, most importantly, what are you prioritizing from the first 2 games on the slate, if anything, so that people know that, hey, these are guys who I don't want to forego in the sake of trying to give myself flexibility?
You can't reverse engineer your lineups after the fact for value that shows up later. I think Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell just make a ton of sense without Evan Mobley out there. I'm going to play them. Jalen Tyson, I think, is a very interesting tournament option at 12%, but I'm not going to say he's a priority by any means. I don't think I'm going to play him in single entry. I'll probably have 2-3 shares in 20 max, probably, close to the field, maybe a little bit over in 150, just because of the positionality, shooting guard, small forward. But I think Luka is just lock and load, play a lot of Luka. I know it's LeBron back in Cleveland and everybody's going to go gaga for that, but I don't really care. And he's at power forward where you only can play him in 3 different spots here. And same thing with Luka, but the difference for Luka is you just look at this from a raw fantasy point projection standpoint on this slate. In that specific game, I mean, it's only an 11-point difference there from Donovan Mitchell. But guess what? Donovan Mitchell's the second highest projected player that we've got on the slate. Luka Doncic is 11 fantasy points higher than him. I am absolutely going to play at least a quarter of lineups with Luka and hope I get a lot of value that's going to show up later, because if the slate started now, 7% is one thing, but this isn't going to be 100% jam like it was once upon a time. Luka's now up to 12-2. He put up, he played a phenomenal game. I had the best run out possible. It ended up being a good night, but I don't care about any of those things. I care about what's going to happen on this slate. I think we're going to get some unexpected form of value. And as more value matriculates in, you don't get to reverse engineer your lineups to step 1 and say, oh, well, now I want more Luka. No. You either build him in now, get him in more lineups, or you're screwed. So for me, priorities, Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen. Everything else I can kind of live to some extent without. Josh Giddey, if he starts, is probably going to be pretty interesting. Jarris Walker, a guy that I was paying attention to yesterday as well when he was questionable. He's off the injury report. Everything looks good there, but priorities, Luka, Mitchell, Allen, done.
Yeah, I have some lineups with Luka, not a priority for me, though, just because of how expensive he is. However, Donovan Mitchell, certainly a priority for me. Same with Jared Allen at the center position. Neither of them are crazy popular, which you're kind of hit on. Nobody's all that insanely popular on the slate. We have 39% exposure going to Al Horford from the field. He's the only player over 30% owned on the entire DraftKings slate. If you look at our ownership on the FanDuel side of things, we've got nobody as popular as what Horford is over on the DK side. We got a few players over 30% owned: Mitchell, Allen, Drew Smith, Jalen Suggs. But Mitchell and Allen, just with Mobley being out, they make a whole ton of sense. And then Donovan Mitchell, kind of what you were saying as well, to me applies a little bit more to Mitchell than it does to Luka, because I just like Mitchell so much as a pay up for the slate, but it's just more value opens up later. Like you said, there's no way to reverse engineer and get more of these pay up guys into your lineup. So I like getting to Donovan Mitchell. By the way, okay, there we got some guys who are giving Eric some love. We got there from Hermit. We got Pete Wheeler, also fan of yours. Stop trolling Chalkwist, the GOAT here. By the way, did you ever play backyard baseball?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete Wheeler was the 50 IQ redhead character who I don't think would be like politically correct to have in video games now.
No,
yeah, like
there's nothing politically correct about that. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that was spam. That was spam.
Can you just mute it? You can't mute it. It's not possible.
I can't. I don't know how.
Oh my God.
I don't know how. Plus, I need to be able to contact my folks. I have to be able to this week, especially my dad's coming into town for some stuff. I have to be on call with my folks. People don't have to know my life behind this. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but hold up for a second. Hold up. All this, the second part of this is irrelevant because the first part is more interesting to me, which is you do not know how to mute your technology. What an old you are. What an old you. The other part, what excuses do you need to make after you've already admitted you don't know how to do it?
Well, I'm saying that I haven't like actively, I bet I could put into Google or Chat GPT and I could probably turn it off. Guess what? I'm opting not to, Greg. That's what I'm opting not to do. I stand with Mama Lindquist. I stand with Dorothy Lindquist. I'm going to call her that because that's hilarious. The Dorothy Mantooth joke. But
well, as Pete Wheeler would say, I'm going to hit a touchdown. That was like his thing. Anytime you selected him, he would just say,
Rinpack loved that game. He wanted a movie of it. Or is there a movie out about backyard baseball? I think he was actually just pitching it once upon a time.
If there was one, I would know about it. So I don't think there is one.
Then there isn't. All right. He was obsessed with it. I know that for a fact. That was a talking point on the Slate Starter podcast once upon a time. Unless I just hallucinated that, which is definitely live as well. I don't know how to mute technology.
Yeah, Arkansas saying this bit is getting old. No, we are as individuals. Like Eric's, it's not like we're organizing Eric's phone to go off during the show. He just doesn't know how to mute it here. We got 1-2 saying there's an 80. Yeah, look, we got right here super chat from 1-2. There's an 80% chance that Eric doesn't know how to mute his phone. We did find out that it's actually a 100% chance he doesn't know how to mute it. And then we've got another super chat here. This is from Ghostface Kicker. It says Kingquist. Sounds a little bit too similar to Kingquist, but I like Kingquist too.
I like Kingquist. I'll take that one. That one sounds better. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. What is going on? We've got people saying ridiculous things in chat today. You understand I can read, right? Like this is not what? Like I'm reading these things. This is absurd that you are even talking. All right. Continuing.
We've been sending you those contracts under the assumption you couldn't read any of them.
Yeah. Reading's hard, guys. On we go. Oh, but also MPJ, King of the Court. Congratulations, everyone.
He did. He won King of the Court last night, tied with Alex Sarr. It's a nice $300 payout for anybody who went in and got him as your King of the Court pick last night. We got some Discord questions to get to here. One anyway. JEW, maybe I'm just a Boston homer, but I feel like Amari Williams should be getting more love on this slate. His fantasy points per minute seem low. His G League numbers are strong. I wouldn't really put any real strong stock into G League points per minute numbers. Like Bronny dominated in the G League. He's a poor fantasy, but it just doesn't translate to mean all that much. But anyway, his G League numbers are strong. His minutes seem more secure when Cater or Garza is out. Thoughts on him? All right, so here's what we got for Amari Williams. Keep in mind also, this is a 9-game slate. Like this isn't a slate where we're lacking in options or anything like that. We've got Amari Williams in for 0.79 fantasy points per minute. He's projected for 17.5 minutes. Here's the thing that really makes him difficult to get to for me. He's $4,500. If you told me that the Celtics are going to be shorthanded in the front court and he's min price, like, okay, but at $4,500 over on FanDuel, and then on the DraftKings side of things, him being $3,700, that's a tougher sell for me than if he was somebody who's just like the flat 3K or something like that. There's just better options on a slate of this size.
Agreed. Nothing to add.
And then we got another super chat here. This one is from Holden Caulfield. Nice MPJ call last night, Lindy. 2% owned in the DK 777 after I finally caved and bought a package using the pro promo code. Any Max Christie love for tonight. So shout out to Holden Caulfield, who took Eric's advice, won himself some money last night, and also said he took advantage of the pro promo code, which if you guys want to take advantage of it, here's how you do it. Just go ahead and sign up for any package at Stokastic, link down below in the YouTube description box. 30% off any package, promo code PRO. Pro Bowl week, no football. You want to get in on a different sport? Any one of your choosing. Promo code PRO, get yourself 30% off. But anyway, he wants to know, what do we make of Max Christie for tonight, Eric? Are you getting yourself any Max Christie lineups for today's slate?
Not at the moment. I've pre-built some stuff that have other guys involved. He's interesting. I mean, he's going to play a lot of minutes, but I'm just never been a Max Christie with everybody else out kind of guy because he's going to be more shooting dependent. He's fine. He's pulling 10% ownership. Like if he shows up in a couple of lineups, so be it. But like, boy, is he an unenthusiastic play on a 9-game slate.
So as of right now, I would say same as you, kind of unenthusiastic, but Klay Thompson and Cooper Flagg are both questionable. In the event these guys sit, then all of a sudden Max Christie is going to project quite a bit better for us. So we've got Christie right now in for, let's see. We've got Christie in for 33 and a half minutes, 26 and a half fantasy points. It's hard to say he's going to play like 40 minutes or anything like that. But let's say both these guys get ruled out and you get 35 minutes out of Max Christie. And then all of a sudden his fantasy point per minute projection goes up to like 0.85 or something like that. Then all of a sudden you're looking Max Christie for close to 30 fantasy points at $5,300. So Holden, does he look good right now? No, not really. But if things break his way, there's no Cooper Flagg and no Klay Thompson, then all of a sudden he becomes more of a guy.
Agreed. And that's the thing. Not right now. I could definitely get behind it if you have things removed for Klay, for Cooper Flagg. And I mean, you guys should know by now, I usually end up playing a ton of Brandon Williams. Like Brandon Williams, I like guys who can walk into larger roles, who have multi-positional eligibility, and generally put up lots of fantasy points. Plus, he shot the ball terrible all year long. We're starting to get bigger fantasy point games from him in general, just because things are regressing towards the mean. But like Brandon Williams, he's shooting 19% from 3 on the season. He's shooting like 42% from the mid-range. He's been abysmal shooting the ball, and yet he puts up tons of fantasy points because his usage is out of control, 24.5% on the season. He has an assist rate right around 24%. I mean, everything lines up for him to do crazy things on a nightly basis, even if everybody's in. So, like, I like Brandon Williams already. He's the guy I'm preloading into lineups.
You know, it's another product I could get behind, Eric.
What, Greg?
Podiums. No, so our props tool. So if you go ahead and you are a Stokastic sub, any Stokastic package does come with access to our props tool. One thing we're starting to see some questions about is people are wondering about LeBron James returning to Cleveland to take on the Cavs. So I'm just curious where some of his prop projections are at. Let's see. Let's go to...
By the way, it's at the top bar. I had a couple of people ask me about this in DMs today as well. I was kind of responding. I was catching up on a bunch of DMs today, building out some graphics, doing cool stuff because I'm going to do a sale tonight. But you go to the top bar, Data Hub, and then props are listed up there. So people haven't known where to find it. It should be the big blue button that says beta there. So just look at the top bar there. It's completely free while it's in beta.
All right, so I'm going to go 50-50, Stokastic and market-based. And let's just check out LeBron's projections because we've got people wondering what we make of LeBron traveling back to Cleveland to take on his former team. As far as props go, let's see. We've got one over that actually looks pretty good here, Eric. Over 14.5 rebounds plus assists for LeBron. It's plus 225 on rebet. So if you're looking for a alt line with a really big plus money numbers, I think you can look at LeBron for the over 14.5 RA. That's got an 8.7% EV. As far as DFS goes, any interest in LeBron James against his former squad?
Don't talk to me.
What's do
your little show, Greg? Do your little show.
We've got a whole tool named after you.
Put you in the tool section.
We could do that too. What are you gonna do with LeBron James?
I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not playing him.
You're not playing LeBron?
No.
So I get that people are like, hey, look, LeBron against a former team. Here's the problem at this point. Any of these older players, like LeBron's always live to have a good game or not have a good game or whatever. Some of these older guys, like remember the people were asking us about the Westbrook revenge game? Some of these players, they've been in how many times LeBron played against a former team or Russell Westbrook? It's just old hat for these guys at this point. So if you like LeBron because you think he should project well, fine. If you're only playing LeBron because he's playing against a former team and no other reason, it's just not a very compelling reason to play him. I would much rather play Donovan Mitchell on the other side.
I would much rather play Donovan Mitchell. I would much rather play Luka Doncic. I mean, not even remotely close. Give me Luka. Give me Donovan Mitchell. Give me, amongst spend-ups, I think Anthony Edwards is very, very interesting. Alperen Şengün, pretty interesting at 3%. Just eternally multi-positional eligibility. Wemby, the only other center that's really pulling any ownership on the other side of that game. We have every game on the slate, which I just absolutely love days like this. We've got, 2.5 hours of swapping around, but you best believe I'm not going to play LeBron James in this early slate. I mean, I refuse to play that in the first game of the night.
Yeah, not a strong option for me today. Now, if you just think LeBron should be projected really high, cool. If it's, like I said, if it's just narrative related, yeah, not something I'm quite as interested in.
What?
We got a super chat. It's what his YouTube name is. What am I supposed to do? He did spell dumb wrong. Do you think his last name is just Dumlow? Or do you think it's a coincidence?
I think his last name's Dumlow.
All right. So Eric Dumb has a question for us here. He says,
really
what is your
rude
preferred
today.
way to set up pre-lock and make sure you have enough room for late news? So I will tell you what I have set up for me today. I made some alterations to our projections. I do not think Jalen Brunson is going to play. I zeroed out Jalen Brunson. I reallocated some of his minutes, and I gave a pretty decent boost to Karl Anthony Towns. So as a result, Cat just shows up in a lot of lineups for me for today. One thing that also is kind of nice about today's slate, Eric alluded to this at the top, I think Al Horford's a little bit too popular. We've got him projected right now for, 32% ownership over on DraftKings. Here's what's cool, though. If you just start your lineups with a lot of Al Horford and players get ruled out over the course of the night, it's pretty easy to just swap him onto other value options. Up for yourself, Eric, is there anything in particular you are doing to prepare yourself for news? For me, really, the main one is taking Jalen Brunson out of projection, just reallocating his minutes and bumping projections of other key Knicks guys.
Yeah, so I bumped some of their projections. I bumped some Utah guys. I bumped some Dallas guys, Brandon Williams specifically, although he was showing up in lineups already. I think that does enough for me. Plus, I'm kind of covering every position. Point guard, shooting guard, Brandon Williams. Power forward, center, Kyle Filipowski. You're getting small forwards that's generally a punt position. It kind of always has been, maybe always will be. It just kind of depends, but talked about Jalen Tyson as an interesting tournament option early, playing some of these early guys to some extent. Like, I'm not going into this slate not playing Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen, but I look at what we've got potentially showing up. As you said, the Knicks situation could change quite a bit as well. One nice thing about these large slates is you really don't have to force it in that much. You just have to be by your computer. You just have to be utilizing the late swap tool multiple times throughout the evening and making sure that you're giving yourself the best position possible to update for news as it comes in. And you don't have to say, if you're getting 80% Donovan Mitchell and you're playing 20 max, yeah, we can probably have a conversation and trim that one down. We could probably take a little Jared Allen down as well. But Otherwise, I'm not doing a crazy amount to account for news that I don't know what's coming, other than plays that I already like, in new spots I already like, give myself a little bit more late swap ability, and then just moving along with my life, because it should be easy to account for everything.
Speaking of the Cavs game, Sam Merrill, he will be starting for today. We've got Brad Kaufman. How are you guys playing this with all the I feel like the LS ops? What does that mean?
I don't know.
LS ops.
Late swap options is my guess.
Oh, okay. Late swap options. Oh, that's it. So we kind of got the same exact question twice in a row.
Yep.
Yeah. Apologies. You guys left that super chat at the exact same time. So yeah, I mean, no different than
who can read now, Greg? Huh? Or I guess it's just
figure that out. I mean, like LS ops. That's that was good for you to translate that. I had no clue what LS ops meant.
I am a problem solver. I'm in my right brain. I'm creative. My mom says I'm special. That's why she calls me all the time when I'm on shows.
Yeah, that's actually what happens. Is I make fun of Eric on shows. His mom just calls him to make sure that he's okay. That's really what happens on the shows. Yeah. Ankle breaker. DK single entry fade 7 p.m. games to wait for news. So the short answer is no. Now, I don't think you should be going crazy with the 7 p.m. games, but I think you're making a mistake if you're not getting yourself exposure to Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. Just to circle back on this, is there anybody else from the 7 p.m. games that you consider to be must-have exposure to certain players outside of Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell?
I want to get the Bulls starting lineup. I want to make sure Giddey's starting, and then I'll probably make sure that I have him and stuff. If he's coming off the bench again, I just don't want to play it. Like, I'll have zero. But, I want to have the 30 plus minutes be in the bag. On these 9-game slates, the other nice thing is that you kind of know what you're dealing with coming into it. Like, you just need everybody to smash. And so, like, I think there's plenty of smashes early. Luka, Mitchell, Allen, those three. We keep saying their names over and over again, but I hope it's connecting and you understand why we keep bringing them up. I like the idea of some Jarris Walker. I like the idea of some Josh Giddey. I like the idea even of a little bit of, not LeBron James, but what's his face? Dean Wade on the Cleveland side, even though I think he's a terrible fantasy producer. There's just a lot of volume that could potentially get spread to him, Sam Merrill, other guys where, Dean Wade runs into some stocks. He's out there defensively on LeBron. That's going to be his primary deal. I feel pretty good about these guys being in my lineups, but I guess we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yeah. Part of this too, he said for single entry, fade the 7 p.m. game. So like, I wouldn't play any of those guys in single entry other than Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. I wouldn't be playing like Dean Wade in a single entry.
Yeah, I there's a part of me, and again, I've got 2 lineups that are like my main ones that I've got built out that I'm going to play in like the 40 single entry and a couple of other things that I generally play as like my main lineup, and I'm always building throughout this show and going through iterations of that. And then I go back into the Sims and kind of utilize the single lineup simulator, make sure that everything looks good. I run that about 10 minutes before we get done with this. And then I have my full 150 that I'll finish out. But I think there's a world where I still play Luka. In single entry, I really like playing Luka in single entry.
All right, let's see.
Because if there's a ton of value that breaks, you can't reverse engineer for it. So just give me Luka at the jump. I think that's kind of a nice deal where if I play both of Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell, it's still pretty easy to put those lineups together. It's like 4,300 per player. Brought up Brandon Williams, brought up Kyle Filipowski. There's a lot of like mid 4K guys that I can play a ton of and be just fine building out those style of lineups.
Denny Diamonds. Should my ownership change for 150 max versus 20 max? Yeah, you're playing more lineups. And I'll explain why in a second here. He said, for example, if I have Stephen 40% of my 150 max, should I have the same 40% on my 20 max? If you have the exact same, it's just not possible because you're playing more lineups in the 150, right? So there's like, for example, I'm just going through my exposures right now, and I have 5% of Stefan Castle. I've got 5% of Luka Garza right now. I've got 7% of Jock Land. Like, it's not even possible to have 7% of somebody in 20 lineups. So no, it's different. And then also, like over the course of 150 lineups, you're going to have a handful of guys you have like 1 to 3% exposure to, which is also like, no, they're going to be different. That's totally okay.
Agreed. No notes.
Mr. Hill, Delaware, great slate. What is the cash game locks? Sure. So players that I think you absolutely need to have in a cash game right now: Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Al Horford. Could be somebody who I don't think you would swap out of Al Horford in cash. Who knows, though? Maybe there's a ton of extra value that ends up opening up. Al Horford likely sticks in your lineup throughout the night. Drew Smith is also somebody I'd have in your lineup at lock. That's subject also to be somebody who could potentially come out as more news arrives. And then another one for me, Cat. If you get no Jalen Brunson today, you absolutely want to have Karl Anthony Towns.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I'm the most worried about when it comes to like in tournaments. What you've got as far as Jared Allen is like, I would like Cat so much more than like singular Jared Allen if we knew that Jalen Brunson was out. Like, I think the raw fantasy points you're getting from him relative to the raw fantasy points you're projected for from Allen, like Allen's a great value, but then you're basically jamming a bunch of 2 center lineups with a lot of other people. And so one of the reasons that I think I'm just going to play a ton of Donovan Mitchell and be at the field or maybe even a little below on Jared Allen is because of what Cat provides me. And again, once that center spot's gone, you open up every position there in that utility. And obviously Cat would end up being kind of a priority for that. But, you know, we also want to have some guard spots that we want to utilize on some value. We've got Clarkson at 3,200, Kolek at 3,100. Those are things you want to keep aware of. Like with Utah, one of the things about like late backing it is you have like a 6,400 Kyle Filipowski, Brandon Williams 4,900, but like these guys are popular, not as popular as they would be if we knew certain pieces were out. And so like I want to have the swap ability throughout the night. And that's where like I think in cash you're probably still playing Jared Allen, but I will say that he's probably the one guy early that's pulling ownership that I'm like, all right, I could probably actually live without this.
Yeah, and then Ryan Stubbs, why no Kolek mentions, sure, we could talk more about who would benefit if Jalen Brunson is out, because for sure, Kolek is somebody who we've already seen have success in this spot. If Brunson is out and Kolek draws a start here, no McBride either, McBride resting, yeah, Kolek's the best value play on the slate by a mile.
By a mile. And he's not even like a phenomenal fantasy producer. It's just like they like having him out there for massive stints in these kind of spots. And like Clarkson off the bench has routinely been the way that they like to utilize him. And, you know, when you had both Kolek and McBride out, when you had both Brunson and McBride out, we just saw him play 30 plus. And it's just like, all right, they don't give a shit. They're just going to roll Tyler Kolek out for gobs of minutes. He's a good ball handler. And Marquette, that was his marquee thing, is like just creation. And yeah, he can go get you a bucket from time to time, but he's not some unbelievable fantasy producer. He's just a good real life basketball player that they want out there a bunch, because it's really hard to have him play over up Brunson and McBride. So Kolek, these are the spots where he'll just get unleashed.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing that's key about it with the Knicks is on top of them having guys that like, this is not a team with a ton of depth. So that's the other reason. So part of this was Tibbs being Tibbs when he was the coach, but another part of it too, the options were just not great. So remember, we would have games where Jalen Brunson would sit when Tibbs was the coach, and McBride would play the entire 48 minutes. Part of it was because Tibbs is an insane person and very likely a war criminal. The other part of it too is just who else was he going to play?
Fair. Everything you said, no notes.
All right, let's see what else we have as far as super chats. Nothing else, but let's see if I think we had a couple questions in Discord. Hunter available to play. We do have Sam Merrill starting as well for the Cavs. Let's see. Let's bang out these questions, Eric, and then we'll run the nuke of the night. Kizuna wants to know Towns or Bam. That's going to be Towns for me.
Yeah, Towns.
Next question here, Einsteining. How do you feel about Triple J today? Eric, Jaren Jackson Jr., somebody who you are lining up to roster tonight?
Well, the last time that I rostered Jaren Jackson Jr. knowledgeably at 1% without John Moran on the floor, he cost me $100K. So, yeah, can't wait to run that back. Thanks a lot, Jaren Jackson Jr., for your 23 fantasy points of service in my lineup. For every fantasy point you would have put up over 23, would have been like $3,000 to $10,000. Yeah, I'm probably going to have some Jaren Jackson Jr.
So just Einstein, you ask us about guys like this, pretty frequently. Like I think he'll be in like 3 to 6% of lineups, something like that when the dust settles. But he's not a priority or somebody who
definitely not.
We've got him projected for, I just added here a second. Like, all right, so we got him at $7,400 projected for 35.5 fantasy points, 5% ownership, 5% optimal rate. He's just efficiently priced and efficiently owned.
Yeah, the main thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. is you got Landale back. So, like, the rebound rate just takes a hit. You've got Santi Aldama and Landale both there. Landale missed last game, or what was it, 2 games ago is when you got the massive Jaren Jackson Jr. smash against the Pels. I think Landale was actually in for that one, but obviously you get Derek Queen Zion as kind of your 4-5 in some capacity, even though it's been point Zion here lately. Usually a good rebounding spot. So Jaren Jackson Jr., he's going to shoot enough. We've seen 18, 17 field goal attempts the last 2 as well. So usage has been up, but yeah, with Jock Landale back, it's really tough to make a case for him being somebody that like, I'm going to jam or whatever, but whenever John Morant's out and you've got a 7,400 Jaren Jackson Jr., I know he's center only now, but like I'll have a little bit, just exactly what Greg said. I can't imagine having like more than 5% of him.
Master PJ wants to know, are our nukes for tonight for both FanDuel and DraftKings? If not, could we do FanDuel specific nukes? So I know very frequently for myself and probably for Eric as well here, usually, well, also like every once in a while, there's players who are wildly different from priced from site to site. But for a lot of the guys that we're picking for our nuke options, for me, it's usually applicable to FanDuel and DraftKings.
Correct. I will be very specific if I don't think that person is for it. And yesterday, I probably had the worst nuke of my entire year, Kelly Oubre, and I ended up with 20% in locks. So, I mean, I was still, 1.5x the field, but his ownership did get up to like 7-8% after the fact, which in hindsight, not the best run out by any means, but Joel Embiid, whenever he's on the floor, his usage is out of control. I think that's just got to be emphasized with like a 9K plus maxi, nearly 10K max here. Maybe it was 10K yesterday. And then Kelly Oubre and some of these other guys that you're hoping knock down shots. Joel Embiid just dominating usage.
Yeah, it was a big, and also Paul George. That was the best game Paul George has probably had.
32. Yeah, I literally,
years.
I was in the Discord yesterday, which was a nice betting day, so that was fun to be in there. But like, I just kind of looked at what was going on. I was like, why does Paul George have 32 real points tonight? Like, what is actually going on? So, yeah, they're going to play through more guys that aren't Kelly Oubre. And so even though Kelly Oubre played, I think, the most minutes of everybody, didn't freaking matter.
Eric, Master PJ did ask us about the nuke of the night. So I said we fire it up.
Click.
All right, Eric, lots of directions we could go here. We could either backload a lineup with somebody who we think could benefit from an injury news. Maybe there's just somebody who's lower on that we like a lot now. Who are you going with for your nuke for tonight?
Yeah, let me clarify something here too as well, because he was projected for like 2% ownership, and then Quentin Grimes got ruled out. And then what happened is that I had the Suns, and it kind of went like this. I had a way higher stand in position on Kelly Oubre, but as his ownership came up, what's going to naturally happen is he's coming down and kind of balancing it out. So it ended up still being somebody that I was well over the field on, but only 20%. Whereas like normally I'm coming in and I'm talking about somebody that I'm just jamming. I don't know how many other ways I could break it down for you. You're telling me there's a chance I get more Brandon Williams at 4,900 point guard, shooting guard. You're telling me there's a chance that Cooper Flagg ends up sitting and we get a starting Brandon Williams. You're telling me that Klay Thompson could be out, who is, generally responsible for shooting threes and kind of creating havoc in that capacity. Like if we could get the Jaden Hardy spot start, I suppose, like that's something that's happened a few times here, but they've started to lean into just Brandon Williams in that starting spot. If you knew that Cooper Flagg and Klay Thompson were both out, holy mother of God, we would have all the Brandon Williams. He'd be one of the chalkiest players on today's slate. 4,900, great fantasy producer, and has positive shooting regression. Shooting sub 20% from three. Give me Brandon Williams, nuke of the night.
All right, so I was just about to give out my nuke here, but I'm going to wait a second to see. All right, so we got the Josh Hart update. He says he's going to try to play today. That's always
It's
ominous.
fun.
That's always a little bit ominous. But the Knicks injury report. So we got Josh Hart. Looks like he's going to try to play. Miles McBride's already out. Mitchell Robinson's already out. Because Robinson is out, I already like that for Karl Anthony Towns' rebound rate. Like, I already think that he's a good low-owned player.
Oh, I got him at 10.5 yesterday, minus 115. I was like, isn't Mitchell Robinson going to be out tomorrow? And sure enough, he's out. And now he's at like 12.5, juiced minus 120. Karl Anthony Towns might have 20 rebounds tonight. Like, that's legitimately on the table.
9% owned, Cat. Love. Potential also for Jalen Brunson. I mean, he's not going to be 9% owned if Brunson gets ruled out in the next, 30 minutes or whatever it is leading up to the start of the game. But Cat this year, 30% usage rate with Brunson off the court. So obviously that's something that's really beneficial for him. As far as fantasy points, you're getting out of Karl Anthony Towns 51.5 fantasy points per 36 minutes in the minutes that he plays without Jalen Brunson. You get the potential for the extra playing time there if you could avoid foul trouble with Mitchell Robinson out, the extra rebounds as well. I really like this spot for Cat. Even if Brunson plays, I like Cat at low ownership. And then if Brunson's out, then Cat's just by far my most rostered spend up option on the slate. So give me Cat, who I'm at this price point, even with, like I said, just with Mitchell Robinson out, I'm surprised he's not pulling more ownership.
I got a buddy in Toronto said he's warming up right now on the floor.
Okay.
So again, that doesn't mean he plays. I'm just saying that he's out warming up for what it's worth.
Yeah. I mean, either way though, I like Towns with Mitchell Robinson out.
I would agree. I definitely like Towns, and I will definitely like him even more in the event that we get there. Again, it was a late ad for me with Karl Anthony Towns. Literally, I think I posted at like 12:45 a.m. or something, but I was working through it, and boy, oh boy, do I like Karl Anthony Towns today as well.
Yeah. So I know somebody in chat noted that the spread is moving around a little bit in that Knicks Raptors game. By the way, because just in case it wasn't clear, it is Brunson who is warming up for the Knicks right now.
Oh, did I not say Brunson? I say?
You just said he's warming up right now. So I knew what you were talking about, but there were some people in chat that were confused. So just
yeah. So also Steve Popper, one of my favorite beat writers, Knicks writer, he just said that Brunson is warming up as well. So clarified on two different sources. I trust both.
There we go. So we'll see what ends up happening there with Brunson. We've got here a super chat from Del Toro. Top FanDuel GPP plays by position. All right, so let's look at the FanDuel side of things here, Eric. We're also
I didn't play FanDuel today. Mother of God, I couldn't do two slates, all 9 games. That just seemed like I don't know, just seemed like hell.
Point guard over on the FanDuel side of things, Eric. That for me is going to be Jalen Suggs, who you guys will see here just looking at it. This is why I pulled this up. We've got Jalen Suggs optimal nearly 50% of the time with 30% ownership. One of the most positive leverage players we have on the slate. Jalen Suggs shows up a ton in the Sims right now. Give me Jalen Suggs as my point guard.
Yeah, we'll save Donovan Mitchell for shooting guard there. I'll go Steph Curry, backload it.
Okay, for me at shooting guard, I'm going to go with a lower owned player in Jalen Brunson.
I'll stick with the Donovan Mitchell piece.
Okay, at small forward over on the FanDuel side of things. So here's what's funny. People asked about LeBron James. Doesn't look quite as good on DraftKings as he does on FanDuel. Just want to point out that we do have him as positive leverage on FanDuel. Doesn't necessarily make him my favorite option here or anything, but just wanted to point that out. I was going to go with a Knicks option here, but now that Josh Hart is in, still like Cat. I don't guys like Bridges, Anunoby, they to me are more reliant on getting Brunson being out for today. So instead of the small forward position, I'm going to go with Paulo Banchero at 9,200.
Oh, look at you getting all freaking nutty. Jalen Tyson for me.
Okay, power forward. That's Jared Allen.
That's Jalen Smith.
And then finally, at the center position, I will go with my nuke and Cat.
Ooh, I like that. So FanDuel, we haven't even talked about Colin Murray Boyle's rules. I think he's interesting on this slate for pretty much anything, everything. DK FanDuel. If he starts, I assume he plays a boatload of minutes, and as you said before, he's in, we know, so that's cool. I'm going to preload a lot there, but we'll see what that starting lineup is. Scotty Barnes at the 5 wouldn't shock me, but I repeat, Karl Anthony Towns will have 20 rebounds in the event that Scotty Barnes starts at the 5. So I think they want the rookie out there.
All right. The next, we just answered the center, so we're good there. But we did get Almost Made ask, best center other than Cat over on FanDuel. Is Nurkic in play? Thanks. So Nurkic, like I hesitant to tell you guys right now, go play Nurkic. If he doesn't start, he's probably playing 0 minutes. So is Nurkic in play? If he starts, he's okay, but he's not like a priority or anything like that. If we're just looking at like players who are center eligible, the best overall option is it's Jared Allen on FanDuel.
Correct.
Jeff Williams, can you touch on the Celtics, specifically the centers? So for the Boston Celtics centers, you've got Garza, we've got Williams, who we got the question about earlier. If I'm playing one of them, it's going to be Garza. Eric, I know you like Luka Garza generally quite a bit, but I don't have a mass amount of interest in the Celtics center rotation. If I'm going to play one of them, it's going to be Luka Garza.
Yeah, I would want to see him start, if I'm being honest, because I don't know what the minutes can be if he doesn't start. I know we've got him coming off the bench. Everybody's got him coming off the bench right now. That'll probably keep me off of him. But per usual, bet his 3-pointer, -125. Cashed 6 of the 9 times that I have betted this season. Let's make that 7 today.
All right.
1-3. That's all we need. One little 3.
Yeah, I do think Garza comes off the bench, but it doesn't necessarily mean I want to be jamming Williams.
I do not want to be jamming him. And also, center is a very valuable position if you're able to trim off Allen a little bit. And obviously, if Allen just smashes, there's that. Cooper Flag out. Just Brandon Williams to the freaking moon. Klay Thompson out. Brandon Williams to the fucking moon. To the moon! Knocks in the moon like the mummy.
Max Christie also looks better now. We talked about that a little bit at the top of the show, the potential of what happens if, somebody just asked us about Max Christie, which kind of led to the discussion about the guys from Dallas. But yeah, Max Christie, certainly, we got that situation we talked about before. Max Christie goes from a guy who looked, okay, to now somebody who I assume on our next projection is going to be projecting for upper 20s fantasy points now.
It's going to just get so scrumdiddlyumptious bar. It's going to be just all sorts of beautifulness on the Dallas side. Like, we've been looking for a piece of news to kind of get us some backloaded lineups just naturally, organically. Well, this is it. Brandon Williams is about to be north of 25%, so I apologize to everybody for making him the nuke. You're going to be mad at me because he's super chalky now. I didn't know that. I didn't know when this news was going to drop, so that's not my fault, but I really like Max Christie. I tell you what, the guy who probably benefits a lot that we haven't talked about whatsoever, like, don't we like Najee Marshall a lot more, shooting guard, small forward, and just building him into some lineups? Because, like, he does a little bit of everything on the floor. He's been more offensively centric. Usage has been on a steady rise, and that's not shocking without Anthony Davis on a floor. But, like, God, we're going to play a lot of Dallas now.
Yeah, so this isn't like an anti-Najee Marshall, but he's kind of already priced up. He's $6,900. So he's going to show up in lineups. I don't know that I'm going to be jamming him at $6,900, though. He'll show up for me.
I just really like him for tournaments. I mean, if he's the one guy who's not going to get jammed up, and I think there's like 45, 50 waiting in the wings for Najee Marshall in a lot of games going forward because they just play him so much. 41, 33, 34, 37 minutes. They also rattled off 4 in a row. He'd been playing really good ball, and they've had a really extended bit of rest now as well, which is kind of interesting. They haven't played since the 24th. It's the 28th. So there's a lot of guys that are going to be coming into this one fresh. Najee Marshall out there he's live to play a crazy amount of minutes.
Yeah, I do agree with that part. I do agree. And I mean, it's all relative. So, I mean, I'm updating everything once our projections update, and we'll show that on screen for you guys when we have that Dallas update, which, will probably be in the next few minutes or so since we're approaching lock. But, like, I don't think Najee Marshall is going to be projecting for, like, 40 fantasy points. I would expect him, like, mid to high 30s at $6,900. So maybe somebody shows up in like, I don't know, 15-ish% of lineups or something like that. If just making like an educated guess.
And don't panic about Brandon Williams. I assume he starts because they have gone to more like Brandon Williams starts, but like they've also at times, because Jason Kidd hates all of us, gone to like Jaden Hardy, but then he's been out of the rotation and it became Ryan Nembhard again. And, you know, even though it's been limited, like there's bound to have something weird potentially show up, but like, I don't care. Brandon Williams is the best play from Dallas, period. Not remotely close.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Brandon Williams is going to show up in a ton of lineups now. Let's get to as many questions as we can. We'll get to the super chats here first. Holden Caulfield quickly has been on a tear. How are we liking the Raptors?
We don't
for today. There's just too much better value on the slate.
We do not like them. That is the correct answer.
Yeah, too much other value on the slate for me to
not a single one of them. Other than Colin Murray Boyles, talked about him. As long as he's starting, I think that there's a path for him to show up in lineups, but I can't really roster a single Toronto Raptor otherwise.
Cash game lineup, Herter or Svi, neither.
0% chance. Like not anything there. You're always bound to have that stupid Svi game once a year, twice a year.
Don't we got a lot of don't play Svi in cash. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah,
don't even need to do it. Don't play Svi in cash.
Don't do it.
All right, questions here. We've got a bunch of them in Discord. We've got Kuzuna. Any idea why Noah Penda has close to a 10% optimal rate at 1% ownership? Let's see. Noah Penda, we've got him. Yeah, right now, 10% optimal rate, 2% in ownership. Let's see what that changes to on our next update. I don't think I'm going to be getting to very much of Noah Penda.
I will not be playing him. So I hope we don't have 10% optimal rate on him.
Yeah, we've got Penda right now. Yeah, I would just say I do not think that Noah Penda is going to be optimal 10% of the time. I think that will change on our next update. That's my guess there. My guess is that it's going to be corrected soon. Mayor says top plays per position on DraftKings, excluding the Cavs players. All right, Eric. So we are not allowed to include the Cavs players in this. And he wants to know who are our favorite players on DraftKings. No Donovan Mitchell, no Jared Allen, none of whoever the hell else you would potentially want to be getting to. Okay. Point guard, Brandon Williams.
By a mile.
Yeah. Shooting guard,
Brandon Williams by a mile. Max Christie second.
So I've got my lineups rerunning. They're going to be done now. All right, cool. So I've got like a rough outlook of lineups here. So, all right. So point guard, I'm going to change point guard to me for Steph Curry so that I could use Brandon Williams at shooting guard.
That's totally fair.
Small forward, small forward fucking sucks tonight. Small forward, I'll go Jaylen Brown.
Brandon Miller is a placeholder.
Okay. Power forward. This one's also kind of a placeholder for now, but Al Horford.
Al Horford, you will be damned if I play 35% of him, but I have more right now.
And then at center, that is Cat.
Center for me is... Where did it go? Draymond Green, but again, power forward center, just a placeholder.
All right, I'm just going to upload these lineups, and then I'll make any changes.
Good idea.
Probably, unless we get like a projections update. Oh, we just got a projections update. All right, so let's look at the Dallas projections and see what these guys are looking like. So for Dallas, Brandon Williams just has to project outstandingly well. Here we go, relative to his price anyway. All right, so we got Najee Marshall, 34 fantasy points at $6,800. Brandon Williams, 30.3 fantasy points at $4,900. Christie, we talked about this, earlier what was going to happen. We got him for the nearly 28 fantasy points, now at $5,300. PJ Washington, he's already priced up, so he doesn't look as good. Same with Al Horford, Dwight Powell, nobody cares about him. So aren't that many guys that project all that well on Dallas, but Brandon Williams, Max Christie, those are going to be your guys.
Somebody just said Aaron Gordon out. He plays tomorrow. Do not put tomorrow's news in chat. Please, please, please.
Yeah. Tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow.
You're only a day away.
So Najee Marshall actually is projecting lower than I thought that he was going to end up, Eric.
Yeah.
The 33.7 fantasy point projection at $6,900. I thought he was going to show up in like maybe 15% of lineups or something like that. He's barely going to show up with that kind of projection.
I'm going to play a little bit because if 41 minutes show up, you're going to probably want to play some Najee Marshall.
Parker boy, how do we feel about KD for tonight? I don't think I have Durant lineups. Yeah, I don't have any lineups with Durant in them.
Yeah, and it's weird because like Durant's been popular on a lot of slates recently. Alperen Şengün and him were, in that lineup that I got second in the $4, the second iteration of the $4 the other day. But like, I really don't like him on this slate.
Yeah, just not showing up for me. We've got from Cap and Akella, salary and ownership agnostic. Who is one guard, forward, and center we're rolling with in single entry? All right, so one guard, Brandon Williams. One forward, that for me, I'll say at this point, Al Horford, and then at center, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, Giddey is starting tonight. I don't think they mentioned it's not that big of news because we had him projected starting and he ended up starting, so that's why I didn't bring it up.
Yeah, I've Giddey in 11% of lineups. I still don't think this is like a full go for his playing time. But yeah, 11% Giddey is what I'm rolling with heading into.
Yeah, and he's cheaper now, so it's fine. But like, yeah, I'm completely with you there.
Let's see. JW DraftKings. Single entry, small forward options don't feel great. Maybe hope for Hart or Marshall. Yeah, small forward sucks. Small forward is a really shitty position. I guess that is one thing that makes Najee Marshall look a little bit better is how weak the position is overall. If I'm building a single entry lineup and have to lock in one guy at small forward now, I'm going to say Jaylen Brown.
Yes, agree. But no, Brandon Miller for me, small forward.
Okay. Einsteinium thoughts on Diabate. He's 5,100. He's projected. He's just fairly priced. Like, I don't think there's any value in the Diabate price tag.
None.
He's 5,100. We got him projected
We're
for.
also going to eventually see Kalkbrenner start to like challenge him to some extent. I mean, Kalkbrenner had the inside lane earlier this year as a rookie, and obviously it wasn't great out the box, but overall, just not a big fan of anything going on with the Charlotte center rotation.
Omega 2K, why is Wemby so low owned? Priced up a little bit, and we're just not seeing big minutes out of him at the moment. So I think there's just other guys who are priced comparably to him that are projected better. So I don't have, I have 5% of Wemby right now. It's just, opportunity cost. There's better guys to get to.
That's the answer.
Krebsy, Rudy or Allen, last man in on DraftKings, Jared Allen. J12 for Heisman. Anyone boosting for flexibility tonight? So not necessarily solely for flexibility, but Cat's a big one for me.
I boosted Luka.
Okay. Yeah. So Luka, although it wouldn't really be I guess to some extent, not necessarily for flexibility, but just getting that lineup spot with the extra salary taken.
Yep.
DK801. This will be the last one that we get to before we get to lock. With all the guard value for DK single entry, is it viable to hold center spot for Towns over Allen if I'm planning on playing 4 guards? So I mean, I like both Towns and Jared Allen both quite a bit for today. Ideally for me in single entry, I'd probably want to have both of them. But if I could only pick Cat or Allen, I'm going to take Cat over Allen.
I would agree.
All right, Eric, we are just about to head into lock. I want to remind people one more time that if you want to sign up for any of the packages here at Stokastic, they are currently 30% off with the promo code PRO. That is going to get you access to any package of your choosing on the site, 30% off, link down below in the YouTube description box. Also comes with access to our new props tool. That gets you access to that. Any Stokastic package right now has access to the props tool. So go and check that out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Other than that, Eric, any final thoughts for the slate today?
No, it was an entertaining show, if nothing else. Overall, though, sorry again, Brandon Williams is now going to be massively popular, but I don't really care. Jalen Brunson available to play. Suck it on the way out, Gregory.
There we go.
Suck
there
it.
We go.
Suck me, beautiful.
Oh my God. This is so people don't know how this works. So 1 point in the win column for Eric. That is a loss for me, which that means that I have to pay my I have to pay my duties as soon as the show ends today. Eric, unbuckle, my friend. Guys, have a great night. This is the end of the show. Be back here tomorrow.
Under the bridge downtown.
For